Want to learn the basics of beat matching on vinyl? Well, in this video, I'm going to go over everything you need to know so you can get started. The basics of beat matching on vinyl can be broken down into 5 easy steps. Firstly, we have cueing. This is when we use the cue functionality on our mixer and back cue, waiting for the phrase to occur before releasing the track. Second, we have listening. This is where we listen to the cue track against the master and determine whether the cue track is faster or slower. Thirdly, we have nudging. This is where we nudge the cue track either forward or backwards based on the last prompt. Fourth, we have tempo adjustment. This is where we make the same correction on our tempo fader based on the last prompt. So if we nudge the track forward, we then need to bring the tempo fader towards us. If we slow it down, we need to push the tempo fader away from us. And number 5, repeating. When mixing on vinyl, it does have a tendency to go out of sync over time, especially when you're having a long mix with 2 tracks. So by repeating the previous processes and staying attentive and meticulous with our mixes, we can ensure a flawless mix to the crowd. Normally as a DJ, when you're mixing tracks, whether it be on vinyl or CDJ 3000s, we use our headphones and the cue functionality on our mixer. But for the sake of this tutorial, we won't be doing that. We'll have both faders up and both basses up, so you can hear exactly what I'm doing. I advise if you're a newcomer to try this at home as well, as this will clearly point out when you're making mistakes, but when you're playing out to a crowd, I always advise using headphones. Although this is a bite-sized tutorial, beat matching on vinyl ultimately takes time and practice. But in this video, I'm going to give you all the tools you need so you can reference this when you're practicing at home. Before we get started, we need to understand some basics of dance music theory. Firstly, we have BPM. This means beats per minute and ultimately means the speed of the track. Different genres are broken up into different BPM ranges, such as house ranging from 120 to 130 and drum and bass ranging from 170 up to 180. Secondly, we have bars. There's normally 4 beats in a bar, but this can vary. In dance music, this is very common, but in other genres such as jazz, this might not be the case and it might be 3/4 or 6/8. Finally, we have phrases. Phrases are a collection of bars and allow us to understand where we are in the track. By aligning the phrases together of 2 tracks, you allow them to work together in unison. Phrases are normally broken up into 8, 16, 32, and even up to 64. We also know this in dance music as the breakdown, chorus, hook, or verse. So understanding these 3 things are very important for us to mix 2 tracks on vinyl together and align them properly. Lastly, one technique we need to master before we learn how to mix on vinyl is back cueing. Because vinyl turntables haven't got cue buttons such as multimedia players like the CDJ 3000s, we have to find the beginning of the track ourselves. Once we've found the beginning of the track, we place our finger on the side of the vinyl and go in a backwards and forwards motion. And then once we're ready to release on the correct phrase, we push the vinyl forwards, rather than just releasing it, otherwise the motor will take time to speed up and we'll miss the phrase potentially. So I'll demonstrate that for you now. So there's the first beat, and then once we're ready, we push it forwards. The first beat isn't always at the beginning of the track, as I'll demonstrate with this track, so it's always good to learn your records or listen to the tracks prior in your headphones and determine where the beginning is. As you can hear, you'd think you need to cue from there, but the actual first beat is there. So with that knowledge, always listen to your tracks and make sure you know where the first beat is. Before we get started on mixing the two records together, there's a few things we must learn. Firstly is learning about the tempo fader. This allows us to speed up the track if we pull it towards us, and allows us to slow down the track if we push it away from us. And returning it to the center should put it back to the original BPM it was made in. Secondly, we must learn about how to slow down a vinyl. We can do this by placing our hand on the side of the platter and slowly applying pressure with our finger. Hey! Once we let go, the vinyl will start to rotate at the exact speed it was set on the tempo fader. Next up, we must learn about how to speed up a track. This can be done by using our finger and placing on the label and spinning it in a clockwise motion. So those two techniques there are super important and we'll use those later. It's good to remember that once we make these adjustments, let's say if we slow it down, in order to get the track in time with this track, we must make an adjustment on the tempo fader. This will keep them together in the same tempo and roughly the same BPM. We need to keep doing this until they align perfectly, and then monitor them until we take the tracks out. Now to mix the two tracks together. I'm going to play this track and count the beats, waiting for the correct phrase to introduce this track. Once that's done, I'm going to attenuate and adjust using the skills we've learned to make sure they stay aligned and mix them together. Let's go. This one's too slow already. And they're in time. And there you have it. You now have all the tools you need to beat match at home on vinyl. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment below. And don't forget, I'm going to timestamp this video so you can skip to any portion you need when you're practicing at home. With that being said, it's been myself, Jono at Bop DJ. If this video has helped you, please leave a comment, like and subscribe. And until next time.